Hey guys, hope everybody is well. I was going to do a video on gym and gym motivation, and I already filmed it and all that, but I just thought given current events, I was going to do one on anxiety instead, especially since I know a lot of people that go to the gym, maybe like myself, it's kind of like a happy place or a place you go where it kind of acts as something to help with your anxiety or help with just being more positive, etc. So I'm just going to do a little video on anxiety instead because a lot of people can't go to the gym, and I know it must be really hard just being locked up in your house and probably have a lot going on in your mind right now, and it's hard times for everyone, I think. Anyway, so I will just say a little bit about like my experiences with anxiety. I think the vast majority of us have experienced or have had anxiety before, so I think a lot of people can relate to it, even though it's not talked about too much. I'm quite open with this kind of stuff because I don't really care. I think sharing your stories is good. You can learn from other people a lot. Like, that's how I've learned a lot, is from like watching videos or just talking to people and hearing about their experiences, taking their suggestions and all that stuff. So I'm quite open with that kind of stuff. I don't mind sharing. I like sharing. I think it's a good thing to do, and I think even if it helps one person, like, why not? Like, share your story. So yeah, I do share a lot of quite personal stuff, but I think if it helps just one person, then that's all that really matters. So anyway, yeah, so I got diagnosed with general anxiety disorder back in 2018, and I was prescribed medication, which I took for a while and then stopped taking. I was okay for a bit. I still had anxiety often, but I kind of had it under control a bit. And then when I was doing my farm work, I kind of went in a bad state of mind anyways, but it just got 10 times worse. I had panic attacks frequently. I had really bad social anxiety. Just like, it was really bad. My farm work did not go well for me. But you learn and you live from those things. So anyways, just during that time, like, it just got really bad, and that was probably the worst it's ever been, and one of the worst places I've ever been in mentally. So I ended up having a really bad panic attack one day. I went to the doctor there and was re-diagnosed with anxiety, and also he thought depression. And I was given medication, which I took for probably the first 2 weeks, but I just really don't like taking that stuff. I find that it makes my anxiety worse, and I just don't think there's enough research to support it, and I'm not good at taking medication, to be honest. I always forget. I'm very forgetful, so I forget to take it half the time, so it's just not something for me. And then when I went to Sydney, I kind of was like, all right, like, I need to work on myself and I need to get back to normal, and I just really need to focus on myself and my mental health, especially coming out from that and like how bad of a place my mental health was already in. I just really needed to work on it. So I did, and I worked really hard to get back to a better place. But yeah, the farm work was just really bad on me. One of my friends, Charlie, was there when I had like a really bad panic attack. We were in Coles, and I felt like I couldn't breathe and I was gonna faint, and we literally had to go outside, and she sat with me for 30 minutes and like calmed me down. I was like hyperventilating and just like lightheaded, and just my anxiety was like through the roof. So yeah, and like, I haven't had a panic attack in like probably 3 months now. Like, I don't get them that often. My anxiety's super under control. Even at work the other day, I had an instance where I felt anxiety coming, but then I kind of calmed it down in my head, and I felt it coming, but then I just kind of like simmered myself down, and I was able to stop it right away, just by thinking like, okay, like, what's happened has happened. You can't change it, so there's no sense in feeling stress over it. We just have to ride it out and see what happens. And it ended up not being a big deal anyways, so yeah, so I kind of stopped that in its tracks, which is really good. But anxiety is just something that like a lot of people deal with, and it's really stressful and it's really hard to deal with. But like, you're not alone, so a lot of people deal with it. But some of the things that have helped me the most regarding my anxiety, I'll just share the 3 things that I think have really like improved and helped me. Like I said, I've not had a panic attack in ages. I don't really get anxiety anymore, which I'm really grateful for. But the three biggest things for me would be, number one, I started meditating again. When I went back to Sydney, I started going to my classes they have there, and I started doing it at home. I just use Spotify and I'll search playlists, like different ones, and try new ones, or go on YouTube and find one that I like. But I think meditation is really good for anxiety because it kind of helps you in like viewing your thoughts, and then B, kind of changing them, so you can flip them from like thinking something's bad or like freaking out. You can kind of change your thought process, and meditation's really good in helping with that. A good book too for like thoughts and meditation and that kind of stuff is Breaking the Habit of Being You by Joe Dispenza, I think it is. It's a really good book. Definitely recommend reading it if you are wanting to get into meditation or anything like that. It is an awesome read, so definitely give it a go. But yeah, meditation is like definitely high on the list of suggestions I would give. The second one is talk to a friend, someone close to you, or just someone you trust, and be open with them about like how you're feeling. For me, that friend is Charlie. I know I can always message her when I'm feeling a panic attack. I felt like I was going to have a panic attack when I was on the bus in Sydney one day, and I messaged her immediately, and she like talked me through it and like just kind of helped me calm down. And she's really my like my friend that I like rely on for that kind of stuff, because she was with me, I think, during that first really bad panic attack. So I know that she kind of knows how I can get. So she's so good to talk to, and so understanding and so supportive, and she's just an amazing friend to have. So like, talk to your friends if that's something, like if you're feeling it, or if you're about to have a panic attack, kind of like have that conversation and know that like your friends and your family, they're there to support you and they don't want to see you upset. So 9 out of 10 times, like, they're going to be helpful in those situations, and it's good to have a friend that you can count on like that. So definitely recommend talking to a friend, or anyone that you might think has had a similar experience, or if someone shares their experiences on Instagram, like toss them a message. They might be able to help speak with you and like help you with your stuff. I think a lot of people are good for that. Like, there's a lot of kind people in the world. As many bad people as there is a lot of kind people as well. So just talk to people. It's good to talk. So yeah. And then the third thing, and I think this was the best tip for me, and this was the most successful thing that I did, or the most beneficial thing, and that is, again, I know I say it quite often, but like journaling and self-reflection is the best thing. And with my anxiety, it was so helpful, because what I do now is I have my notebook. I always have it with me, but whenever I feel like I'm going to have anxiety, or when I do have anxiety, I'll just write down in my notebook the situation, like word for word, just whatever's in my head. I'll write it down, what's going on, and then after that I'll write why it's not as big of a deal as I think it is, and I'll just write out, like, kind of reread it and kind of be like, okay, like look into it and be like, this is why it's not that big of a deal, or this is why it's not the end of the world, or just whatever, however you want to view it, and just kind of look at it for what it is, instead of like blowing it up in your head. And then I'll write a lesson from it, so something I can take out from it that I've learned from like the anxiety. And then normally after I do that, I just feel a little better getting it out on paper. It's not in my head as much anymore, and I can kind of see like, okay, I was overreacting, or I was overthinking. A lot of my anxiety, I think, stems from like social anxiety and a bit of paranoia from like always kind of caring too much what people think. I don't really care anymore, as you might be able to tell from like posting these kind of videos, but yeah, so that, for me, like, I don't like confrontation, I don't like any of that stuff, so I can get anxiety quite easily from those kind of situations. So it's really helped me with getting over that, and like kind of writing out the situation, or like the argument I might have had, or like the communication that I had with someone that didn't go the way I wanted it to, and it's like I'm making it up in my head to be a bigger deal, or I'm turning it into something that it's not. So I find writing it down, writing why it's not a big deal, and taking a lesson from it has been super helpful in like getting control over my anxiety. So those are some things that I've found very beneficial. And I hope everyone's staying safe and is happy and isn't having too hard of a time being in isolation. I know it's a hard time for everyone, but stay positive, be kind to others, and yeah, just ride it out, and hopefully everything is good soon. So yeah, wishing everyone the best. And again, if anyone ever needs to talk or needs an ear, I'm always open and I'm always happy to talk. My Instagram's there. Send me a message. Yeah, it's important to talk, like I said, so I'm always here if you need me. But hope everyone's good, and hopefully we can all get back to our normal lives as soon as possible. All right, thanks.